It is a great honor and a privilege to introduce Miriam Alduby, and your maiden name was De Haan. And Miriam, you have, I think, one of the most incredible stories, being hidden in Holland, and how you came with your brother to Palestine in those days. But your story is just riveting, and it's just unbelievable. So if you could tell us a little bit about your amazing parents and your story.
Okay, I can start about my father. Can you hear me? He was born in Holland, in Hilversum, at the beginning of the 20th century. Hilversum was not a big place, and he went to a general school. There were no Jewish schools, and all what he learned for Judaism was at home. The family was Orthodox. And what I was told, that he went every week to a shul, and the special thing was that they didn't speak Ashkenazis. They spoke already in the pronouncement of what we say today, of how we pronounce today. It was a Bet Knesset of youngsters, and he learned Judaism at home, and he stayed there till he was about the time that he had to go on study after high school. He went to Amsterdam, stayed with his sister Sarah, and there he studied and later worked in economy. About my mother's family, I know very little, even less. I know that my father's father came from the north of Holland. I've got a kind of a diagram of all the names, but I don't know much about them. I know about one, Yaakov Israel De Haan, who was in Holland, and there was a whole story about him, but he was a great poet. And at some point he had enough of Holland, of his marriage, of everything, and Yaakov Israel came to Israel, to Palestine. And there's a whole story about him. I don't know if you want to hear about Yaakov Israel De Haan. Anyway, my family came from the north of Holland. If you go to the cemetery in Jerusalem, you'll see a lot of names De Haan. There are many De Haan. It was a big family, but I don't know anything about them. I was too young when the war broke out to learn anything about his family. Only about two cousins, the daughters of Sarah, who was in Amsterdam. Sarah was the sister of my father, and he stayed there. And Sarah had got married to someone with the name of Legrand, and they had two children, two daughters. One of them learned with Anna Frank in the what do you call Montessori school, or what it was. I went to visit there, and they came to Israel, and their story is a different story. And my father got to know her. She was working in an orphans institute, Jewish orphanage. And he met her in 1936. I have a picture that my father tried to come to Israel, and he's sitting on the fence of Kibbutz Ein Harod. I suppose, I didn't speak to him about it, I suppose with the intention of coming here and living in Israel. But that was in 1936. In 1937, he met my mother. They got married. In 1938, I was born, so I don't know exactly how times were.
We can just show a picture of the marriage of your parents. And you have at the The bridesmaids were Nina and Miriam.
Of whom?
The bridesmaids at the wedding was Nina and Miriam.
I don't know which Miriam that is.
That's what, I think one of the daughters.
Nina is the daughter of my Aunt Sarah. And the other one was Floortje, Dalia.
And here's a picture of your father. And do you know which shul they got married in? Where your parents got married?
No. There's nobody to ask.
And your father's name was Yoshua, and your
Yoshua.
your mother was Hannah.
Yeah.
So I just want to show the picture again of the wedding.
You can take the picture, please.
Miriam, it's so special that you have these pictures. It's so special that you have them. They're very special pictures.
Put them in later, maybe. In the Hebrew book, also the very good pictures.
And Miriam, you were born, in what year were you born?
In 38. So, my father came back in 36 from here, from Israel. And in 37 he got married with my mother. And 38 already I was born. So there wasn't much time for getting organized, and he was the secretary of the Mizrahi movement.
In Holland?
In Holland. There's somewhere you can see. Maybe it's here. You want me to show you?
And this is the book that you wrote in Hebrew?
This is second edition. Because this was, I had it first like that, and then I got all this, the whole story.
Night Like Day Will Shine. Miriam, here's a very special picture. You were so cute as a...
I even drew it. I drew the picture.
Sure.
It is hanging in the house of my son. Here much more. We've got a picture that no Jews are allowed.
Mm-hmm. And Miriam, here's the...
Jews are not allowed.
Here's a picture of your birth certificate of you and your brother Avram. And when was Avram born? He was born...
In the war, in 41.
In 41.
I wanted to show you.
So we have a picture of your mother with you and Avram.
Yeah, that was just before the war.
Just before the war.
This is a beautiful picture, not for you, but
it's
for me.
So beautiful, Miriam. It's incredibly beautiful.
This one I drew.
Wow. And that's a siddur. And Miriam, can I just ask you, what are the earliest recollections that you have? What is the earliest things that you remember about your first recollections in Amsterdam, or what do you remember?
Okay,
what you can remember?
I just want to show you a picture. This is the picture of the Mizrahi movement in Holland, just before the war. I don't know if you want to take it,
yes.
But I'm showing it to you.
Very much.
Maybe I've got it bigger somewhere, I don't know. And here Mr. De Haan is the secretary of the movement.
It's very special.
This picture is so special because when the daughter of my brother got engaged, she brought this from her savta. And her savta is there, and my real parents are there, and my, what do you call it, the secondary parents are there, and the brother is there. Half of the family is on that picture. And it's a very interesting picture.
And when was it the first time that you saw that picture?
When my niece got engaged, she brought it to the house.
And you hadn't seen the picture before?
No,
It's amazing.
I think it's more in the beginning. Yeah.
And Miriam, can I ask, do you remember when your brother was born?
No, I only tell in the book that he got he was still sleeping when on the day. I told that story about that it was very strange that my mother took him out of the bed, because usually he would sleep much longer than me. But that day she took him out and dressed him, and I did not understand why. Now I understand, because the woman on that day came to take us away.
But Miriam, can I ask, before we hear this unbelievable what happened on that day, what do you remember before that? Do you have any recollections of any memories before that day?
No, not really. Nothing significant.
Do you have images of your father and your mother?
That he was a very tall and big man.
And your mother, do you have images of your mother?
Only later, with the miracle of getting the box from somebody incognito. And he brought us the box, and there I got a photo album. That's how I collected what they looked like.
But till you got that, you didn't... Did you have images of your mother, or...?
No, only through the pictures. I was 2 years old when the war broke out, and I think it was in 1940. In 1942, they took us up, put us in a ghetto. So I don't remember much. I remember the day that she came.
Could you tell us what happened on that day?
Yes, so as I said, I was already up, and she took also my brother to the kitchen. My father was sitting there behind the big newspaper reading, because there was no work for anybody anymore. We all were at home. Jews were not allowed to work. And my mother was a bit tense. I remember talking to her and she didn't answer, till there was a knock on the door. And then with the knock of the door, she got up, but there was a maid helping us, and she went and brought in a woman, tall, in a great coat, with a bag, never seen her before. And all she said was, in Dutch, "Are they ready?" And my mother said something like, "Yes, soon," and she took up from the coat something which was a star, because apparently I already had a yellow star on my coat. And then after that, she dressed my brother, and I clung to my mother. I didn't know what to do. I was scared of this big woman, never seen her before, and she had a strange accent. But then my mother put on this coat on me, and she gave my little brother to that woman. And that woman had my brother on her arm. My mother was crying all the time. And then my father came forward, and he blessed us, the blessing of the children. And he only said a few words: "I hope that you become good Jews." And the servant, what do you call her? The maid. Heard that, and later on she used it in the.
It was in the evidence.
In the court.
In the evidence in the court.
Yeah, she said that. And then the woman said, "Okay." She gave me her hand, and They said, wait, listen well. You don't speak, you don't answer, you don't anything, you don't say. You cannot speak, just keep your mouth shut. If somebody is going to ask you something, don't answer, just keep quiet. The story was that this woman was a German with a German passport. I don't know if my father got through the Machteret. In Holland there was a very active underground. And it helped many, many, many people. Unexpected, I read books that you wouldn't believe that somebody belonged to that underground group. And maybe my father got hold of this German woman with the help of the underground, because no Jew was getting in or out of this ghetto. There were standing German soldiers in the entrance, only one entrance into the ghetto, and nobody could go in. But she was free to go because she had a German passport and she spoke German fluently. So she told me, you don't speak, you can't speak, and you don't understand nothing. And I did nod it with my head, and then she said goodbye, and we left the house. She had good reason, because when we came to the gate, she flirted with them, and she showed her passport and everything, and I saw one German look at us and apparently ask her, are these yours? And she said yes. So he didn't speak to me directly, but if I had spoken Dutch, it would have been the end of the story. So I didn't speak and we got out. There's a lot to tell about this woman, I leave it now. And then we walked out and we walked in the streets. She always holding my brother and me. And we went straight to a train station. We didn't see people. And also in the train I didn't see people. And we got on the train. She bought a ticket to Rotterdam. And we left Amsterdam for Rotterdam. Got to Rotterdam, went out of the train and again walked. I don't know how much. But the streets were deserted, you didn't see anybody. And we walked and suddenly she stopped in front of a door. And she knocked on the door. In the beginning there was no reaction, nothing, nobody came. Then she knocked again and we heard steps and somebody just peeped out of the door. And when she saw this woman, apparently a good friend of her, she opened wide and said, come in, come in. And the woman said, no, there is no time. Here, this is yours. And she pushed me to that woman. And she went away, disappeared with my brother, I didn't see them anywhere. And then the woman took me in, took off my clothes, and into a room on the right, on the couch, and she told me, you sit here, but didn't say anything further. So I sat there, I looked around. The curtains were always closed, completely closed. And then she came back and I wanted to the toilet. I came from Amsterdam, it was about time. So I asked, Madam, can you please show me the toilet? Or whatever you use word in Holland. And she didn't answer. And I asked again, no answer. The third time, she pulled out a chair from under the table, sat in front of me, and said, you listen well. I'm not madame. I'm not some lady. I'm your mother. From now on, you call me mommy. I'm your mother. I just looked at her. Where did she get that from? I left my mother in the morning. So there were some other attempts to get to the toilet, but no answer. She said to me, and you know what? From now on, your name is not Miriam. You are not called Miriam, you are called Mickey, you understand? I just like that with my head. And then I had no choice. I want to go to the toilet. So I swallowed the frog, as you say in Hebrew, and asked her, Ima, where's the toilet? And then she took me, and later she asked me if I wanted to eat something, and I said, no, thank you, and that was it. But then she wanted to go to the grocery shop. And I said, okay, I'll wait here. No, you cannot wait here. I don't know, she was scared, maybe I ran away. And we went, it was already evening, lots of women in that shop. And she went straight to the bread, took a bread, and then I heard from the back, and who is that? And that's all you need in Holland. So many people have been gone because of telling.
Informers.
Yeah, that they went to the German for some money. On everyone you informed on, you got money. Not a lot, but still. So, who is that? So the Dutch Ima said, that's Mickey. And she quickly pushed me away, went to pay with
it's like coupons, food coupons.
Yes, no money. And she pulled me out of the shop and ran back home. She was very scared because who is that? I mean, she wasn't here yesterday. Where does she come from? And that's all you needed. She didn't say, she said, that's Mickey, and we went home. And then there was a very tall man who asked me, who are you? And I hesitated because I'm Miriam, but I'm not called Miriam. I didn't say Mickey also. And then she said, this is Mickey, come, let's have something to eat. And went to the kitchen, we ate what we ate. Later on, I was in a good relation with the man. And then we left the kitchen, went upstairs, and it was pitch dark. We made pitch dark. And I complained. But she said, that's the law. We cannot light on. It's true, because Rotterdam was bombarded. And I had my first night there, and so on and so on. Many nights. The house was built, you got in, a long corridor. At the end there was a kitchen. He went down in a kind of yard with a big wall. In the corner was a cage with a little rabbit. Yes, that's for Christmas, she said. And he put every day, he went to work on his bike, and every day he put his bike there in the yard. And I got used to it somehow. The time went on and on. They tried to teach me to play the piano. They tried all kinds. I didn't want. But I was always alone in the morning, because when it's time for kindergarten, I'm transparent. I have no certificate, no birth certificate, no nothing. So they never sent me anywhere. Even when I became 6 in 44, July 46, 44 I became 6, I couldn't go to school. So I was always alone in the morning. In the afternoon, I played with the children in the street. And that was how life got on, and with different things.
On a Sunday, you used to go visit your brother on a Sunday?
Yeah. When I grew up, and in the morning it was my task to make for them toast and tea and bring it, because it was second floor, and I don't know if you know stairs in Holland, they're very steep. I had to bring it to them, and they had breakfast in bed. They were not religious at all, nothing, which is interesting because they put me in a Catholic school. But after that, we would go and visit the friend who brought me. The friend must have been a good friend. They went there every Sunday. We went there, and
this was the German lady. The German lady.
Yeah, she was living with a Dutchman, but I don't know exactly what the relationship there was. And I recognized my brother, and I played every week with my brother, but he didn't have a notion of who I am. He didn't recognize me. He was about a year old. He didn't walk yet, and after some time, he didn't recognize me as a sister. So for about 3-4 years, I played with him without him knowing that I'm family. And whatever, one day we sat there. The rooms in Holland, usually it's a back room and front door, and there's a partition, and the partition was open, and I heard the German woman say, "I've got today very good news for you. You don't have any more to be scared or anything. Very good news." What's the good news? They won't be coming back. I got news from Red Cross or something, and that's it, you can be quiet. I understood everything because in January 44, it was February 44, and I was already 5.5. I understood everything. So to tell this little boy, he doesn't understand, he doesn't know who I'm talking about, and I can't tell them that they listened because I saw to listen. You're not allowed, so I just sat there, got the blow, and then we went home. But there were all kind of talking later. Aren't you happy to be here with us, and more than with your mommy or so? And I told her, you know that my mommy is not coming back. I told her, I knew that she had funny sentences somehow, my mother. Anyway, that went on till 45. There was one day a tragedy with a bag of peas and everything. I don't know if it's interesting for you, but we made a big fight because the whole street was outside with little pens to catch those peas. There was no food. But they didn't attack my father then. They didn't pull it off his back. Only what dropped out, everybody was trying to get. And he somehow, she called me, Mickey, come, go outside, help father, I don't know what. Anyway, the whole excitement, and then I helped him get into the house. It was a very bad experience. Till the evening, people were looking for peace because there was no food at all anymore. I don't know where he got this sack with the hole. But anyhow, it showed me how also I had to learn a lot of things the difficult way. I was beaten when I opened the curtains because I heard soldiers marching. I wanted to see. So I opened the window, the curtain, why I got. It was one time that they shouted and always with beating. Or when I was in the music school, I didn't look and I crossed the street and a bike came, and we rolled together to the road. But he got on, Baruch Hashem, it was good. But I came home, and I told. I shouldn't have told. I got markers. I got beaten. Why don't you look where you're going? Why don't you be careful? They were so in stress that if there would be police and they don't have anything to show for me. So they were very much in stress. But I got it on me. Anyway, came the end of the war, May 45.
Miriam, can I just ask, did they ever show love to you? Did they kiss you or hug you?
I don't remember once. But it doesn't say, the whole thing's like a black hole. I don't see any love. The love came later after already left them. I don't remember any love or sitting on her legs or anything. I don't remember.
Do you remember her kissing you goodnight or?
Not that I remember. I don't remember.
And Miriam, what was the name of the family that took you in?
Kinwell. Kinwell, it's in the book.
And the first name of the woman and the man? Did you know her name, her first name?
I don't remember. Maybe it's written. It's somewhere written, I think. Later in the...
But in all the time, you don't remember them hugging you or kissing you? Or?
No. I don't remember toys. I don't remember having a doll. Maybe I had, I don't know. I don't remember. It's like a big black hole. I would play in the morning, sometimes outside. I wrote about the brewery that would help with the bottles till they sent me home. I must say I was always lucky. Nobody told on me. Nobody attacked me. I felt later, many years later, I wrote about it. I wrote a long thing. Must have been protected.
When you played with the children, they must have asked you what?
They mentioned anything.
Nothing. They didn't say, how come you don't come to school with us? How come?
No, there were no questions. It's a miracle.
And during this time, did you know that you were Jewish?
Yeah, but it was very much hidden. So when they, after 45, said I can go to school, they took me to a very far school. It was a Catholic school with a minzar, what do you call it?
A monastery.
With a monastery. And I felt straight away at home. Because I liked the ceremony. I liked going every morning to the mass to sing the songs. I learned the nuns were very nice. They were very good to me. They taught me the patience. And the rooms were big with lots of glass. First time that there wasn't such a nice place. And I played outside with the children. I was completely at home. I didn't feel they took me away from Judaism. I got used to the new place. I came there at the age of 4. At the age of 7, I went to school and stayed there till the age of 8. Only the year became traumatic when the Jewish side came into the...
And what do you remember of the school? Did you make friends easily at school?
Naturally, I don't remember special friends because school was very far away. In the beginning, they'd bring me, and then I got a ticket to the tram and went along back and forth.
By yourself?
Yeah. At the age of 7. And from little you get a feeling of you can do it all yourself, you don't need anyone. I got very early, I suppose, independent, which went away when I was adult, but as a child I was independent.
And Miriam, do you remember the first day? I think you were very excited to go to school on your first day.
I was very excited. I got a new bag and a new, for pencils and everything was new, like all other children. I never asked why not before. Maybe I knew it all, because later, and then we went, it was all celebrations with Churchill and the forces who came to free us and everything, and we before school, and we got bread and butter and went home happy, and I was happy.
And Miriam, what do you remember about the liberation when the war ended?
That's what I remember. Everybody went out into the street. Everybody decorated their door. Oranje, the name of the house of the king, the queen at that time, was Oranje, so they all had orange, and everybody was happy, everybody was talking, everybody was open. And then we went to the street where Churchill came through with the car, and we were all very excited. And then the liberation forces gave everybody the bread and butter. What could be better? And then now you can go to school. But that was May, so I still had to wait for September. Waited, and the important day came. And I was very excited. No Jewish thoughts at all. I was told there are no parents. That's it. My life had changed into another family. And I suppose it was good. I wasn't miserable. I lived every day, but I'm one like that. I take as it comes. Maybe it's not very intelligent not to ask questions, but I didn't. And then I went to school, and then one day I was playing outside in the yard, and I got a knock on my door, and then my cousin, Nina, came and told me I came to say goodbye because I'm going to Palestine. And it didn't make much impression on me.
Here's a picture of Nina. Did you recognize her at all, or did you know who she was?
No, but I straight away said, from Aunt Sarah. So I remembered on the spot. I remembered that Nina is the daughter of Sarah. She couldn't believe it. So it must have been somewhere inside, because it came out kacha. I said, I'm going to Palestine, and I hope we one day will meet.
How did she know to find you at the monastery?
There was a Amuta, I don't know what
organization,
who took it upon themselves to find all war refugees, all war
I think the children that were hidden.
What do you call it? Orphans. And she lived with that family. And she must have told them also that we were left alone. I don't know what everybody knew, but somehow they got into search after me. And that's when Fleischhauer turned to them from the Lezrat Hayelet, and they wanted to adopt us. But we were still far away. And then one day there was a knock on the door, and Mr. Fleischhauer came in. He looked very dark, very Jewish, eyebrushes, black eyes, something not of my world. I looked like non-Jewish. And they said, Shalom, we came to take Miriam. She belongs to the Jews. Of course, there was a big shock. And then the non-Jews said, who are you? Her parents didn't come back. We adopted her. You have no right to her. And it started a big argument and shouting, Mickey, Miriam, Mickey, Miriam. I didn't interfere. Till they said, okay, we'll see you in court. What I thought that they will give me over, and that looked a bit innocent. Anyway, as they left, the father sat down his chair and said, those cursed Jews. And I knew no more Germans. I knew nobody was coming for me. So I came to him and said, but I'm also a Jew. And that's the first time I got it out. Till then I knew I couldn't say that word. But I knew now everything was safe around. I thought about it, that everything is safe around and I can say what I say, and that's what I told him. And he said, no, those are bad people, you are good. A finished argument. Later on, all what I got was what's in the Hebrew book about the social work of the Jewish community. There's everything about the negotiation, daily you see it. And there was one social worker I loved very much. And she said, it's okay if I come to sleep here one night. And I came, and she said, when she was in the kitchen, I drew on the butter a Magen David, which I never would have done otherwise. It didn't even come out of the Jewish family, but with her I felt free. And then I told her that we had special dishes for Pesach. I started remembering things. But the story with the non-Jews was still going on till the end. The court decided for me, and also psychologist was involved. It was very important for me to reunite me with my brother, and both couples didn't make a good impression on the judge. She with all her questions, and once they came to interview her, and she was a bit anti-Semitic. And the German woman, she was German, her brother belonged to the Hitler Jugend, and she didn't have anything against anything. She was just a survivor. As a young girl, she had a baby which was taken away from her, and she hung on to my brother. And then after it was decided that we'll together go to family Fleischhauer, there's a special police for children in Holland. The children police came to the house and wanted to take him by the court. And then she shouted, ran into the street. They've come to take my child, and they tell stories and here and there. And then they told her to come back inside. And she went inside, and then she said she has to go to the toilet. I don't know why they let her go with the baby. He was not a baby anymore, at 4 or 5 years old. And she escaped by going to the balcony of the neighbors with my brother, and for 3 months didn't find her. So they decided they don't want to have the same story with me. And I asked the mother of the Minzar, what's called?
The monastery?
They went to the Minzar, to the mother, I don't know what you call it in English, and told her this story.
It's Mother Superior, the Mother Superior, the main nun in the monastery.
Whatever. And it was all without me. And I went and told her the story and asked if it's all right with her to come and take me in the break from school. She agreed. So one day this strange man and woman with another man came with a black car and said, "Hi, do you remember us? How can you forget?" And I said, "Yes, we've come to take you home." And a whole negotiation. "I don't want you to take me. I've got my card. I go by tram." I didn't believe them at all. They argued, and I was a little girl against so many grown-ups, and in the end, Yala broke down and went with them in the car. Of course they didn't take me to my home, my non-Jewish home. And then we came to their home, and the woman said, "Mrs. Fleischer, I know we haven't been straight with you, but you must understand, we want to bring you to a Jewish house. Your parents wanted you to become a Jewish woman, and you'll stay with us. And you'll find your brother, and he also will stay with us. And you'll get a Jewish upbringing, and you'll feel okay." And they had Fleischauer, they had their cousins and nieces and nephews. They'll come play with you. And I think it's right that you come to us because we are a Jewish home. Somewhere inside, I knew they were right. Somewhere inside, it was not hard to convince me. I didn't say anything, I didn't yell. I went with him to the house, but before we got in, I said to them, "But I won't call you mother and father. I had one mother and father. I was taken away from them. And this Gentile mother and father didn't work." Again, I said, "Mother and father." So they looked at me and they said, "How will you call us?" I never was thinking about it. It just, what can I call them? So I said, "Uncle and Aunt." They looked at each other and said, "Okay." And I went in and I stayed with him.
So in Dutch it's Oom and Tante.
Yeah.
And this is the picture of Itzik and Greta. And how was the relation? I think they were friends of your parents.
Yeah, in that picture I showed you of the Mizrahi, they all appear. There is somebody who said that they made an agreement, but I'm not sure they did. But if the children of one side get lost, the other side will take care. But I never heard anything about it. That's the story it goes.
So in this picture of the Mizrahi, they're in the picture, and your parents are in the picture.
My parents and my foster parents and my aunt and uncle, lots of the Mizrahi are there.
And they had a tragic story themselves about their two children
were lost. Their children were hidden in a monastery in the south, children, non-Jewish and Jewish children were there together with stuff, and they lived their life there. And somebody told on them, and the whole monastery was taken to Auschwitz. Everyone, Jews, non-Jews, staff, everybody. And their children got killed there. So they were without children, and we were without parents, and they wanted to adopt us. At the same time, there was somebody who was a cousin of my father, Van der Hoek, who survived the Holocaust. I don't know how, but he also was so Jewish. His family was hidden somewhere, but he walked around. He worked in a bakery. Anyway, he heard about us, and he also turned to Bezrat HaYeled. He wanted to adopt us. And they said, no, we can't, because already Fleischer was in the picture. But they didn't give any thought of it, that he was really family. I don't know my attitude today toward it. I'm still wondering if life would have been different. I'm still in touch with one of their daughters who lives in Australia. They were in the 56 to Australia. And I'm still in touch with a daughter who lives there. And not much. Once a year, twice a year, we write Chag Sameach, and I don't see them. But they refused to let me go to him. My brother didn't know this story, only after I got the report from the social worker. And he thought that he had neglected us, that he wasn't interested in us. And when they came to Israel, and they came to the kibbutz, I don't have the picture, and they came here to visit me, my brother refused to come. He did not come to see a straight cousin from my father. He wouldn't see them because he was sure that he had abandoned us. He didn't know the story of the organization, that they tried twice. There's a letter in the book, in that book, that he wanted to take us, and twice he was refused. That's life. Anyway, I was taken to that house.
And the Fleischhovers, they also were in hiding, but they managed to survive the war.
Hiding from place to place to place. You don't know how many people are in the underground, but many times they got the phone in the evening, tomorrow they're coming to take you. Somebody who maybe worked in the police or the SS, but he was really in the underground. And every time they just left before the Germans came, before the police came, the SS. So many times. They didn't have a fast address. But they got saved, and I came to the house, and I got used to it. I learned all kinds of things. I went to the shul, and their nieces and nephews took me up and taught me and took me to the Akiva. And my life was very good before I got there with the non-Jews. I was alone. They didn't have children and no cousins and nobody. So I was always on my own. And here I was surrounded by family. And then after a few months, they got the phone of, we found Avram, and we bring him. They brought him in a big bus on Shabbat morning. A little boy came out of the bus. He looked at everybody, and then he said, "What's she doing here?" He pointed at me. "Why is she here?" My brother was clever. He was only 5. because he thought I was the daughter of the friends. And they told him, this is your sister. So he got it also in, and then we went inside and I started telling him the stories. But he straight away looked at me and said, what's she doing here? He remembered me of coming and playing with him on Sunday afternoon.
And Miriam, how was that interaction when you saw Avram again? Because you had been separated for quite a
I don't
while.
know if on the outside there was any sign of happiness, but all the psychologists I saw, everybody said, as long as she's not reunited with her brother, she won't be well. Everybody knew it, that that's what they suffered. They say, in one place they say it. Maybe it's all in the
When you
book.
saw him-
It's in the Hebrew.
Were you must have been so emotional. You must have been...
Yeah, but you know how to control your emotions after all this year. You don't show emotions at all. And Dutch people don't show emotions. Double.
Here's a picture of Avram. And the Fleischhovers, were they very loving towards you and your brother?
Yes, they were very natural. But you are here, you're part of the family. You get what you get, you do what you do, you have your own maybe obligations, I don't know. But in the beginning, I don't know, it was all fun. Soon after it was Simchat Torah. We went to shul, everybody gave you sweets enough to Pesach. It was very nice. And I went to Bnei Akiva. It was called Asher Sheret, not Bnei Akiva. And we played there. And there was one day they said we are going to do a translation of the Tefillah, a competition. So I went home and told them they're having a competition, but I don't know Tefillah, it's not for me. I said, why not? And I took part in the competition and translated Al English Shabbat, and I got the prize, got a book about Tisha B'Av. Anyway, I got completely into that life.
And how were the teachers at the school? Were they compared to the nuns?
This is a story on its own. Because first time I went to school parallel to our street, and I was told, you're never going home alone, you always wait for me. And the teacher was not nice to me. She was anti-Semitic. And whatever I did, I was wrong. I didn't have a good upbringing at schools yet. But my writing was like a tarnagol. It's a Dutch expression. And
like
everything she did, kacha, do it again. Anyway, she was not nice to me. And one day, my aunt, I called them aunt, came to take me from school, took my hand, and somebody else took my hand. Started pulling. And that's told the teacher, leave her here, I'm going to call the police. Down, she wrote the number of the car, called the police. But those people said, she belongs to us, she's our daughter. Why do they do it to me? And the teacher said, right. Later she said, what could I do? So she gave permission to them to take me. And when the police came, I was already gone in the car with the orange juice. And we drove around the whole day and didn't go anywhere because I think they didn't go nowhere to do. Every time they saw police, they pushed me down. At the end of the evening, the police came to the car, stopped it, and long story short, I was brought back to the Jews. So I was sent to another school. which was already 25 minutes, 30 minutes walking. And then already my brother got also the age of school, and we were together. Avram, we had lessons in religion. What do you call it? Their religion. And I don't know, when they told the class of my brother to take out the books, he took out the Siddur, which he just got new from Fleischhauer. They gave him a little Siddur. They said, no, you can't use this, you have to use our book. He said, but this is my prayer book. A boy of 6. And they said, if you want to use that, you have to go outside. So I took the book and did the Siddur and went outside. But he was already at the age of 6. Pinter, they call it in Holland. He was clever, he was stubborn, and he understood what was going on. And then, for a long time, every day we walked. School is from 8:30 to 12 and from 2 to 4. I would stay at school. Later I would go to his brother's family who lived not far away. The brother of Mr. Fleischhauer, Judah Fleischhauer, he was the administrative manager of the harbor of Rotterdam. He had a very, very high position.
Because it was the biggest port in Europe.
Yeah. And he was there for many years till they came to Israel. Anyway, and here also how they got out of they were not in Auschwitz, they were in Bergen-Belsen. That's different. It's the camp which was supposed to change Jewish prisoners for German prisoners. Some got out and they had a hard time getting it out. Anyway, from then on that we got there, every day the Gentile parents walked us to school and back from school home. Every day. And on the way they bought cakes and presents and told me especially, come to us, run away, why are you staying with them? At a certain moment, Fleischhauer said, you can't eat their cakes, it's not kosher. And also don't take any more presents, come straight home. I said, I can't, they're talking to me. How can I not turn my back on? I don't care, go home. And that was a time when they walked behind us, because they got a warrant, not a warrant, they got they were not allowed to speak to us by the court. The court told them to keep away. So they were scared of the police. So they never came a straight line with us. They were always behind us. Mickey, why aren't you coming? Mickey, listen to us. Mickey, don't go there. That's not we are your parents. They're not your parents. Every day. And I would run. And this little boy I held in my hand, and he ran me, and he was so angry with me. I want to go to my mother. Leave me alone. Let me go. Because behind them was the German woman. He knew her from the age of 1 till the age of 5. That was his mother. I don't want to go with you. I want to go to her. Why don't you try to make free? And I did that. He hated me. I don't know how much. So they saw the house in fire, and then they backed off. Every day they came after us. In the beginning it was quite nice. They brought me things to eat which were not allowed by Judaism. But slowly, and listen to the orders. You're not to talk to him. You're not to take their food, you're to come straight home. And that was quite, I don't know what you call this. It was a test.
It's very traumatic for a young child. It's very traumatic.
Yeah, I started dreaming at night that I couldn't walk and that I was falling, that my legs wouldn't carry me. It was very hard. I think it shouldn't have been our war. It shouldn't have been put on me. Maybe they should have come with that, I don't know. But that's how it was. Very long, till one day, when I came to, they brought me to the Jews from the German. From the Gentile, every night they would make curls, nice curls, and I would look lovely. When they heard that I have to go to the Jews, they cut my hair off till here, very short. They took my clothes, which didn't belong to them, because I think they got enough money from me. And anyway, after maybe a year, I don't know how long, my hair was long. And I started making tails or so. So one day I came out of the school and the man came to me, the father, maybe I've seen Mickey de Haan. And I look at him and I say, I almost said, yes, that's me. And then I said, no, I don't know, and I ran away. Then I understood that he doesn't recognize me, and he stopped coming. He came longer than the woman. He was very much attached, I think. For them it was also a tragedy. They never had children. Apparently they tried to adopt one before, which did not succeed. And I was a very good girl, and they loved me. And they suffered a lot. For them it was also a tragedy of losing a child. And then after he didn't recognize me, it quite stopped. We went to say, Mrs. Fleischauer said, maybe you so go and say goodbye to them before we go to Israel. And we went. I sat there like a stranger, no one spoke, nobody said anything, no connection anymore. It also, it didn't call for what do you call them, that they get recognition.
The righteous amongst the nations.
I was so scared of them because I had a phobia of always being run after, that when a bus of Dutch tourists came to the hotel and I was at home, I would not leave the house in Kibbutz Lavi. I wouldn't go outside till I knew the bus had left. No logic at all, no reason, nothing. But I had that phobia of being run after. So whenever there came somebody from Holland, I was hidden. Till very, very late, I found that the man was already passed away. The woman was in a hospital. I went to see her. She already didn't remember very well. She said, no, but you were a good girl, and go to my house and take whatever is there. You know, old people think like that. And that after 3 weeks she passed away.
But you went to see her?
Yeah, it took me a long time. My husband, born here, he didn't understand maybe my feelings, so he said always, they saved your life. You have to be careful, you have to go and see them. And the Jewish family of Fleischauer, Schap, they always belittled them, they made them not in a good light, because they didn't do the mitzvah of saving a Jewish child. All they wanted is to use the war to get the child. They used the war and then eventually find somebody who would be their child to adopt. And the Jewish family did not forgive on them. And they always made me feel they're not good, they're not worth, because they used the war to get you. They didn't want really to save somebody, they wanted you. And that was a feeling which for me was difficult, but at the end my husband said, go and see them. And then somehow I got to her. He didn't have that feeling of being a refugee, of being nirdaf, you say.
But Miriam, you did something very, very special. You yourself went back to their home. One day you went out of your house and you went by yourself.
That was one time, still in the beginning of the separation, when they said, run away, run away. To finish the story of the running away, in the beginning I was very much under the influence of the Gentiles. So one day I got up early, they explained to me how to go to the house. Somehow I got there. I stood in front of the door, and the bell wasn't high, but they didn't ring. If you want, come and get me. But I knew that if I ring, I do something wrong. I'm not supposed to do that. Again, the family place, how and my faith is to be Jewish. I shouldn't do that. If the door opens, okay. If the door doesn't open, I won't ring. And I stood there a very long time. It was early in the morning, till I heard the car coming of the Jews, the uncle with the black car, and they came towards me. But all this effort I made just for them to come and pick me up. So I ran away. And I ran, and I ran, and I ran. And the car after me, and the Mrs. Felisauer after me, till I felt no name, not pleasant, because it's not nice when an old woman, I thought she was old, should run after a young girl. So and also people were on both sides already coming, more and more people looking at the show. And then I decided somehow to have faith, and I started running around the car, not further away. Around the car until she at the end caught me, and she put me inside, and we went home. And she said, you got up very early today. Maybe you go to sleep a little bit. And that was the end of it.
You never discussed it? They never punished you?
But if you read that book, you know that everything I did was immediately reported to the social work, because I thought maybe I'm imagining things. Maybe it didn't happen. I think it happened. Everything is in the reports. So she straight away reported it to them, and they said, do this, do that, but they never reacted on me, because I was problematic at that time.
How old were you when this happened, when you went to their home?
Maybe 45, 47 and a half.
So young.
I'm very old already. Later they made the psychological test.
You were so young, you were only 7 at this.
Yeah, and then in the test they always mentioned the schooling was far, far, far behind, because I didn't learn to read, to write, math, nothing. But mentally, I was far above my age, because of, I suppose, all the experiences I went through. I don't know why, but they said so. A big gap between the technical things and the psychological things.
Miriam, here's a picture on Purim, and you seem very happy. You seem very smiling and...
Yes, I think these pictures aren't better here.
And Miriam, what do you remember of the Opa, of the grandfather?
Not about the ex-libris, I'll tell you. You saw the ex-libris? First day I came, there was an old man sitting at the table when we went to eat. And I didn't know him. He was the father of Mrs. Fleischhauer. And he was very nice to me. He asked me what my name is. And I said, Miriam. Like the daughter of Moshe Rabbeinu. You know who Moshe Rabbeinu was? I said, no. He said, I'll tell you later. And then slowly he talked to me more and showed me all kinds of tricks in math. And that's how I got befriended with him. And later he taught me Torah, reading. I've got a book here that when he was hidden in the south of Holland, he made his own vocab, Hebrew, Dutch. And I've got it here. 2,000 or more words he wrote down during the time he was hidden, couldn't do anything. And he made the Dutch vocab book. Very nice. He was a very special man. He was like a rabbi, but he wasn't really a rabbi. They lived before the war in Rotterdam. He and his wife and 8 children. And they sold milk products. And that was their living. I can say something, but you don't have to write. You see the vase there with the flowers on the table. It's not really vase. It's a measurement of a liter. That was used in the shop when they sold the milk. And when you see, come near, you see many impressions of letters of the ABC, but not till the end. And I asked what it is. It was the bikoret, the control of the people in charge of all the milk shops to see that you didn't change the size of your liter, didn't make less. So I've got it for a liter and I've got it for a deciliter.
And this is
for shemanet.
This is original.
Original.
Sure.
They used it in the shop.
And what happened to the family, to the majority of the family?
Some passed away and some were caught. He passed away when I was there. His wife passed away before, and children were kacha and kacha.
And you could never speak to the Fleischhauvers about their children, their 2 children that were...
She wants the pictures and wanted to show me and to explain to you who they were. I didn't want. I felt so embarrassed. I said, yes, and as quickly as possible got out of it. I felt very embarrassed. I don't know why.
Did they speak more about their children? That
Sometimes today I've got pictures of them, but at the time I didn't feel ready to speak about it. Don't know. But she had a brother in Haag, Scheveningen. They were very close, and I went many times there also, and they helped me, and they really thought of us as a family. And then one day somebody knocked on the door after school, pushed inside a box and ran away. I don't know who it was. Somebody, we didn't see his face, so we didn't know what to do with it, because somebody gives you a box, you open, you're afraid. And then we opened it, and we found the pictures and the siddur. And on the next page, you see all the names described in this, in the great-grandfather and down family, the family history, I think, of our Saba.
and you mentioned with your brother as well.
Yeah. Later my brother wrote, but they also wrote in nice handwriting.
This is the inside the. But more, it had pictures as well. These were the.
The album, from there I know how my parents looked. I didn't remember what my parents looked. Most of the pictures in the book are from that album. And there's also an album of
There were stamps.
of stamps from 1815. So there's one stamp missing, and that was the expensive one.
And Miriam, they also had from your.
Yeah, in Holland it was a custom to have a sign of in your books, what they called ex libris, which expressed your job, your profession, your wishes. So half is that my father was a tradesman, and some is the yearning for Zion. You see the yearning
You
for
see the
Zion.
Zion. You say Zion. Zion is.
And the going up of the sun in the east.
And De Haan is.
De Haan is our name. It means Tarnagulot.
It's like a rooster chicken.
Yeah, therefore the two
You
bookcases.
see them too. Huh?
The holders are.
This must have been amazing when you saw this package, and here you're seeing the pictures.
And dresses and two books. And in the books were the ex libris. From there we have the ex libris.
And before this, had you not had a picture of your parents?
Nothing. Only from this I learned what they looked like. I didn't remember them.
So we're just going to show the pictures of your father and your mother. So it must have been unbelievable to see pictures of your parents.
Yes, it was an experience. At the time I didn't know how much to appreciate it, but I appreciated it a lot mainly because of the pictures. Siddur is now, later they made a book of all the ex libris of the Jewish people in Holland, and I also sent this.
And the yellow star, was this inside the package as well?
I don't know if they are from Vleeshouwer. I still have a Jew in Holland, in Dutch. I still have pieces of cloth like that.
And you don't know who it was who brought the package?
No. Some one who knew my parents, and my parents asked him, keep this in case we don't come back. If there was money and clothes, הרבה שטויות.
And nobody had opened the package?
I think he opened.
But the money was still there?
Yeah, coins still there.
So this is the Haan hook. It's amazing that they gave the photographs and everything for somebody for safekeeping.
I suppose they gave more. I don't know where it all is. One gave back.
But Miriam, it's incredible.
I'm sure there are more packages around than there were.
And Miriam, here's such a lovely picture of you with your brother.
Yeah, the brother of Mrs. Fleischhauer, he was trading with Italy, mainly hats for ladies, but he brought us clothes from Italy. Anyway, so that was more or less it.
Now, the Fleischhauers, they wanted to go to Eretz Yisrael.
Yeah, and then they left for a visit.
And I think that's the time where the Zayda, the Opa, he passed away.
Yeah.
And you went to the funeral.
I went. I don't know where it was.
Was this the first time you had been at a funeral?
Yeah, I suppose so. You know what was interesting? That when I first went to the graveyard in Hilversum, where my grandparents lived, I found the stone of the father of my father, Abraham de Haan. And that's the father of my father. And I got a photograph of it. It was the first time that I felt I'm photographed with somebody of the family. It's unbelievable to explain. First time that belongs to me, I belong to that. It's the first real connection to family, even it was a stone. Because before I didn't have anybody which was my family. That was a very peculiar feeling I don't forget.
And Miriam, this picture was in the
before the war.
But this was inside the package as well?
Yeah.
Such a beautiful picture. Your mother looked so happy.
Who knew what would happen? We didn't. I suppose nobody expected it.
And Miriam, in Bnei Akiva, were you very happy? You made a lot of friends and...
Yes, everybody was nice to me. I suppose they were told to be nice to me because I was from a very strange background. But everybody was nice. In the Bet Knesset, in the first time, was terrible. All the aunties came to look at me, and I just shut off. But later with the children, it was very nice. They fought, who is going to teach me this? And never in my life I had cousins. In the other house were no cousins, was nobody. Just the three of us. And quiet. There was no one. They didn't have children of their own. And they didn't love each other. He threw a knife at her one time. And she told me he tried to
strangle.
And wait. I don't know exactly. It was a strange couple. But and then she asked me, what do you think, this or that? I never took sides. I just didn't want part of it. Somehow they they got over it. They went through the war, and later I don't know.
But Miriam, it's amazing that the Fleishovers wanted you to say goodbye to the family before you left to Eretz Israel.
No, she was very good.
That's karasa tov. It's showing gratitude for what they did.
I don't think it was gratitude. It was a good manner, good behavior to do that. But it was not successful.
And what do you remember about coming to Eretz Israel when you were at the train station and
I remember very well. There was a very big farewell in Rotterdam. The whole Kehillah came because they were very appreciated. He was Chazan in the shul, and she was involved in charity, and they were in good state, also economically, financial. They were really building themselves, and they were very much, people were shocked to hear that they are going to Israel, but they felt obligated to our parents to take us to Israel, because they had a very, very difficult life in Israel. It really took years of their life.
Right. And remember, this picture with you and your brother, was this before?
No, this was at the school where we stayed at the end. In Holland, in Rotterdam.
So this is before you came to Israel?
Yeah, I stopped before I came to Israel. There's no...
And were you happy with the decision when they mentioned that you're going to be coming to...
It is ambivalent, because on one hand, I suffered cousins and friends, and I was happy, and I was to leave it all, start something strange again. It was a bit difficult for me, but children.
And at the train station, there was so many people came to say goodbye.
The whole Kehillah was there. Everybody was there. The whole Kehillah came to say goodbye. Everybody came. Full of people. But I feel sorry for them, because they came very early. In Israel was nothing. There was no food, there was no fruit, almost no work, and they suffered a lot.
I just want to show the picture at the train station. This is in Rotterdam, and here's a farewell as well. It's amazing that people took photographs, that you have these photographs when you went.
Brother took a lot of pictures. I've got a film of 1928, 1929, long before the war, about Jewish life in Amsterdam. He took a lot of pictures.
And from Rotterdam, where did the train go?
To Marseille, through Paris. We slept in Paris. In the morning we went to Marseille down, and from there with the boat.
And the boat was the Negba. Here you have a picture. And how was the trip on the boat?
Tell you the truth, the boat went so good. It was on the Mapilim before. And
for refugees? It was the refugees.
And they made the boat for passengers. But I was sick from the first to the last day, a week, because I could. It's not like today boats are stable. It wasn't stable. I was sick the whole week, but me and my brother always enjoyed ourselves.
And what year did you leave? What year did you leave to come to Eretz Israel?
1949, October, November 49. We had to wait they only waited for the war here to stop. When the war here stopped, we were ready to go because the war, I don't know exactly, Mechem Tashichu,
The War of Independence.
went on to 1949, I think. As soon as we could, we came.
And Miriam, do you remember when the state was declared?
The what?
When Ben Gurion declared the state, do you remember when?
No, I don't know. Because in Holland they didn't show us. We were still in Holland.
But did
It was in May.
But did you know when the state was created?
Yes, they said something that there was happiness and everything, but I didn't really realize. Only later. No.
And when the boat came to Haifa, how was your feeling when you saw Haifa?
Everybody was up on the deck and they sang her tikva and everybody was so happy and it was a very great excitement. I wrote songs about it, but they're all in Hebrew. I won't be able to translate them well.
And from there, you saw family came to visit you at the port. When the boat came to Haifa, who came to see you?
Mrs. Fleischauer had one brother who came already in the 1920s, and he lived at that time what was called Ramatayim. Today it's called Hod Sharon. And we went there with them. Another friend came with a big van, took us all, and we went there. There it was a bit difficult with sleeping and everything, but after a month they had to change the house because the toilets were outside still, no toilet inside. And then after a month we went to school there. It was a terrible experiment. They were not nice children. They put schuk on my brother's mouth and he saw stars. So some child told him, go wash it with it water. And the children were not, they everything I wrote in songs. They said, you are from there, you are from Huklaret, you're not like us.
Like foreigners.
We are the sons of the new Maccabim. No, we are the heroes. Our fathers are the heroes because they fought in the liberation war, and we are sons of heroes. And you know nothing. The whole exception of the refugees from Europe in Israel wasn't too good.
It wasn't too good.
No, because Ben Gurion himself, I don't remember if he said it, that we were like cattle taken to
like sheep to the slaughter, yeah.
Yeah, and in some way that's how the first Israelis saw us. Weak people who didn't fight for themselves, and they didn't like this kind of people here in Israel.
Did you feel it?
It was a shame. No, I was a child at school, it's different. But it was a shame on the Israelis. Oh, I got once you get the language, but then after that month we had to go somewhere else because they were going to build. So we went 3 months to other friends in Ra'anana. And that was the worst year because they told us in Holland, feel the snow in Israel, no snow. That year was snow all over Israel. And it was cold. And Mr. Fleischauer got jaundice. And he was so ill. And it was cold. And then they wanted to go and start a business in Givatayim, but the house wasn't ready. So they sent us for 6 months to another family.
Who was the family? Do you remember?
Babad Beit Aleph Beit Daled. משהו עבדים. Babad in Rehovot, he worked in Schneider. He was a chemikai. The funny thing is later, my daughter, she studied a course at the university, how to write your doctorate. If you want to make a doctorate, they teach you how to present it. And the teacher was already on pension, was called Elisha Babad. And she sits and tells us about Elisha Babad. But Elisha Babad, I was in their house for 6 months. Now you're dreaming, it can't be not true. And she went to the lecturer and she asked him if he was from Rehovot and if he remembered 2 children. He said, yes, and my mother was a Makshifa. Wasn't nice, he said. But that's the Babad, and she met him later on at the university.
So I'm just going to show, this is a picture with Itzhak and Greta and Uncle Meir.
Yeah, Meir was the one who founded Ramatayim, Hod Sharon. He was one of the founders.
And you have such beautiful pictures with you in Ramatayim, and it's by the Eged bus stop.
Yeah, it was the central station of Ramatayim.
And look at today, Hod Sharon is a very
Big,
very nice area. And this is when you arrived. This is with Tante Greta and Abraham. They're just all so beautiful. And here's in Ramatayim. These are so special, these pictures.
I tell you something, take the book.
I have the book. I do have the book. But can I just ask you, did any of the children ever, when they saw you, ask you about where you came from, what happened to you during the war? Did they discuss?
No, because my son learned in Tel Aviv in the school for filming, making film. And one day he said to me, maybe you have you got a story for me? So I said, make the story on me and my brother. He said, Shtuyot. And then I wrote a few pages to give him the background. And then he said, no, that's too much, that I can't. And my other daughter worked as a metapelet in the Beit Yeladim. And she one Yom Shoah asked me to come and tell the children about my story. And I said, okay. I told them I was your age, I was the age of the brothers in the Ghana. I was small, and I told them the story. And the children were fascinated listening. Only one didn't come to hear from all of my daughter. I think she was embarrassed. She wasn't prepared for it.
Because it's a big thing.
And I told it in a very childish way to children of 6, 7 years, but she didn't come. So I asked later, why did you come? No, it was my resting hour. But later, now, it doesn't happen that there's a Yom Shoah or Asara B'Tevet. Before she starts a lesson, she tells the story. Years and years and years, she tells the story before the class every year, if she teaches on that day. Always. Also gave a talk to the Zoom, to Alon Shvut, to the Michnet Alon Shvut. Also, and then she sat with me and prepared together. And in the school in Rosh Tzorim, I gave the picture. many places that she goes with me were very, very important. But then she wasn't ready.
It's all in the right time, and it takes time to digest.
She could ask me come and talk to the children, but she couldn't come.
It's so interesting.
They're embarrassed. They were embarrassed. Slowly on. I also wrote in the beginning, Leila who asked to hear. That's what I write in the beginning of the book. Because they wanted to hear only later.
And Miriam, you mentioned something so sad that the Shrifas, what happened is that they started a business and they were so trusting, and they had a partner.
Well,
when they came to Eretz Israel, and they lost their money.
They got so many things in wrong ideas. First of all, to bring the newest of the newest laundrette into a place of Givatayim, which was still small.
It was developing.
And the people weren't ready for things like that. And people, I don't think they had money for that. And then one day the shutaf,
the partner
got up, took whatever money there was and went away. And they left with nothing. They came rich, they had money, and then there was a devaluation of 1,000%. They lost everything. Everything.
And then I think Mr. Fischer, he had to work manual labor, and eventually he worked for insurance.
Yes, he went to a factory then, and he worked there as a carrier of tires, what you call them, and then he got of the brain.
It was like an infection.
Much worse. Typhus of the brain. And it was the end. But then Mrs. Flesauer somehow turned to her brother in Holland, and they straight away sent the penicillin from Holland, and it saved him.
Thank God.
And then somehow the congregation helped him to become an insurance and he started doing insurance, and people came to him because they...
Like a broker, he was an insurance broker.
Yeah. At the end he did that, but they all became ill in the end. It was difficult.
And here's a picture in 1950 in Ramatayim. And you also have these are such precious pictures. This is with Yitzhak at work. But during all this time, when they went through such difficulties, did they ever complain to you and your brother, or?
No, but my brother, at the age of bar mitzvah, they saw that he isn't getting anywhere. He's sitting all the time outside the class with the other boys who didn't get on at school, and they saw he was going the wrong way. And then they turned to Kibbutz Yavne, where there were still people who remembered our parents, because it was very difficult to be accepted as the outside people. And they took him in. And then from the age of 13, he was there till he had 4 children. When he had 4 children, he left.
He was always in Yavne?
Yeah, he was in Yavne.
And do you remember his bar mitzvah?
I remember what?
His bar mitzvah, your brother's bar mitzvah?
The bar mitzvah was still at home, and there's a picture that he shows of his presents.
Here's a picture. And Miriam, how did you meet your husband?
Yerushalayim, you know, bat mitzvah. The family Babad in Rehovot made for me a Yom Holedet at home to celebrate my bat mitzvah. Further, I don't know much about bat mitzvah because there was nothing. I mean, at times were difficult. And also there was no food. Once in a time, somebody would bring in the aeroplane an apple to give to Mr. Fleshauer because he loved it. ולא היה פה כלום. I went once to the shop to get something. It cost me 200 grosch. It was 1,000 grosch in the lira then. And I came home and I told her, she asked me how much it was. And then she burst into tears. For nothing. It was the hard times. We met hard times. And then Mrs. Fleshauer went to work every day. She went from Givatayim to Hotashon, which is very far away, Ramatayim, to work with Meir, her brother, who gave her a little paperwork. But I'm sure he paid from his own pocket because they didn't have money. But he wanted to help her. That was the only way he could help her. Difficult times. It's very difficult to be an immigrant, especially at the time. And it takes years of your age. And then both were ill and passed away.
How old were you when they passed away? You were already married?
I think so. The mother not, with Mrs. Fleshauer not. Also, I was married when she passed away, I remember, because I had a baby and I was here. She was in Bellizon, it was so difficult. I think we made mistakes because we tried to find a home for him. He became ill after her. But nothing was good, nothing was there. I think he was too much alone, I don't know.
And remember, you went to quite a good school, I think in
Tel Aviv.
In Tel Aviv.
Yeah, I think maybe also with a little bit protector, because my grades were kacha, and there was one teacher who was the inspector when I was in Rehovot, and he saw my name, and then he corrected it, and later he called me and said, "Where's the family?" And he was teaching, he was Morel Talmud in Zeitlin in Tel Aviv, and I think he helped me get into.
I think you wrote De Haan in one.
I wrote Dalet Henun, and he put a line, and he wrote De Haan.
And this was Rabbi Benjamin de Vries.
Mm-hmm. He later also gave us a chuppah.
This is a picture of.
I know you know the story.
But Miriam, how did you meet your husband? How did you?
I went to Jerusalem as a student, and there's this Beit Hillel. It's like a student organization for Jewish, for religious students. And I saw him there, and later I saw him at the university.
And here we have, this is a picture of your wedding. It must have been a wonderful chasana, a wonderful wedding.
Yes. I think so. It was first a reception for so many people.
Where were you married? Where did it take place?
In a place really belonged to the army or something. The brother of my husband's mother, he was still in the army in Keva, and he arranged for us in a hall which was in use by the army, and we got it quite easily. We paid less than we would have paid otherwise.
Wow.
And I got married in a dress of a girl who was married 2 weeks before me. We were both from Rotterdam. The Bnei Akiva was in her house.
Wow. And Miriam, this is one of the most amazing things. The flea shavers gave you something very special.
The what?
And Tant Flea Shaver gave you something very special. They gave you an envelope with something very special inside.
Who gave me flesh out?
Yeah, at your wedding.
Not that I remember.
Your parents had opened up some savings for you and your brother.
Yeah, they told us about it.
And they gave it to you, I think, at your wedding.
That I don't remember the wedding.
You write it in the book that they gave it to you at the wedding, and it was quite a bit of money that they never opened. They kept it for you.
It was heroic.
It's amazing
because they were without money. I didn't know about it, and they didn't touch it.
Which is unbelievable, because they could have felt we're looking after the children, we need the money, but they never touched it.
I think they deserve to use it.
That is the most unbelievable story, that they kept it for you and your brother.
And didn't use it.
I think it's just remarkable.
It's very, very, very remarkable, because it's heroic.
Yeah.
They really needed money.
Sure. So Miriam, I have to ask you a question, and it's such a difficult question. But looking back, have you ever thought what would happen if you would have been put into the position of somebody coming and saying, will you look after a child, but it's going to endanger your family or it will endanger your lives? If the tables are turned, have you ever thought what would you do in that situation?
First of all, you must always think in what time was the situation.
Yeah.
And what behind it all. And you can't just take it as a thing of every day that was or war or it's something other than. I can't even start to think I have family, I've got a home. I'm not speaking about the Gentiles, about Jews. Of course people took in children, but they took in the children after they'd lost their own. Everything is clear, ברור. איך אומרים, מובן מאליו. You can't answer a question.
But so many, they say the Dutch, there were incredible righteous Chasidei Motalam that risked their lives to save, and yet you had those that also were informers. Those that, because Holland has one of the highest percentages, like your parents, the Frieshavers' children that were taken to Westerbork and then to Auschwitz.
But you cannot ask me, would you take anybody in?
It's a very difficult. But did you ever? Have you ever thought of it? Have you ever thought what?
I think it's very courageous.
Yeah.
But in my case, they took the chance because it was the only way for them to adopt.
Yeah.
And Fleischhauer, it was still different. They wanted to create a family.
Yeah.
You can't judge from one to another.
But it's amazing that in Holland you have the two opposites. The Chasidei Motalam, righteous amongst the nations, and then you have those that were informers.
In the north and in the south, where the farms were, it was easier. The cities were very difficult.
And you go back to Holland, do you still go back at all?
In the beginning I came back and I felt good, and I did feel anger for the Dutch at all. Until the Muslims came, it was a very friendly country.
But now it's changed. It has changed.
Took all the children there and grandchildren. Many I took. Not all. I all showed them all the historical places where we lived, the Hilversum, the cemetery, all the historical places where my parents were for a few months. But my daughter said, lucky you came out normal. That's what she said, the one who lives in Alonso. She said, it's lucky you came out normal. But I don't know if she can judge it I'm normal.
I think you're incredible. Absolutely incredible.
But you don't know what thought scratches you get from it and how they influence life. Must have been. Today I think about it more and more.
I think it's amazing that when the Dutch tourists come to Kibbutz Lavi, that you felt that you can't go out. That there is something, yeah, you can see the scars are there. It has had an effect.
But this insecurity, it's more, there are things that you feel more insecure of it, more dependent. As much as I was independent till I got married, later I wanted to depend. I didn't want to make any more decisions. I want somebody else to make decisions for me. Enough. I don't want responsibility. It has influence. Not everything you can say is because of the war, because it's also the person himself. Both.
Miriam, after you got married, you spent time in South Africa as shlichim for Bnei Akiva. And those were good days, being in South Africa?
For me, kacha. I was much left alone with the daughters because Asher was very, very busy. And he was always with the movement. For me, it was not so easy. It was okay. Shabbat, we were together, we always invited.
But did you feel the warmth of the community in South Africa, the Jewish community?
Yeah, they were okay. Some more, some less.
And then you came to Kibbutz Lavi, and you remained on Kibbutz Lavi since then?
My husband was here when he was a soldier in the Nachal, and he had one dream, to come back to the kibbutz. It's almost written in the Ketubah. I wasn't for it, but I didn't have my choice. And he said, let's try it. So we tried.
And Miriam, when you came to Israel, you took, this cabinet that you had back in Holland.
That what we had a very small place to stay in the kibbutz. So for tens of years, it was in the house of my sister-in-law.
And you also brought, this was from the Col.
Yes, they brought it.
This is the original from Holland.
Yeah. From 1850.
Miriam, if I can ask you, what message do you, after all what you've seen through and been through, and you've been through so much and you've witnessed so much, what message do you impart to your children, grandchildren, and to the future generations?
It's when they ask me in the schools, when we finish a talk. They also ask me, high school children who finish school, look after the state. See always that Israel is there. And that's not only our belief, but also our safety. This is our home. You have to look after your home. And Israel is our home. There's no other home. I don't know how you feel, but I feel in Chutz La'aretz that I don't belong. and only here you belong.
You know, it's so sad. Your father came here before he got married. It's such a pity that when they got married, they didn't
It wasn't
return.
really time, I don't know.
So here's a picture when your father came
Okay.
before he had met your mother. So you had the...
Always also wrote in on the papers later as a secretary that you have to come only here and have to build the country. They wrote a lot of things.
So Miriam, I just want to thank you. I am so incredibly grateful to you. This has been such a great honor, such a schut.
I don't know
It's
if
been
you sit
incredible. No, it's wonderful. Miriam, I am, from the bottom of my heart, I am so grateful to you. Having read your book and having met you, you are an icon. You really, you are somebody so inspirational for all of us. And Miriam, you said,
I don't feel
you are very, very special. And what you went through and what you've achieved, it is something remarkable.
Baruch Hashem.
And you should just have mazel and bracha.
A great grandson, a great grandson
Wow.
in the army.
Sure, a great grandson.
Already in the army. I've got more great grandchildren than grandchildren already.
Great grandchildren.
More than grandchildren.
Baruch Hashem. Miriam, could you give just a bracha to everybody who's going to be watching this?
People who want to watch this are really special people. If you want to, if you have the patience for a story like that, and you think, never again, this is what we as a Jewish nation should always keep in mind, that we'll fight for our own homeland and be, that's the main thing.
Well, I couldn't agree more. Miriam, I couldn't agree more. I am so grateful to you, and there are no words to thank you.
Okay, and now
So, Shabbat Shalom, and
eat something.
Miriam, and you should just have mazel and bracha at Mayves Room, and you should continue.
You do. You do very good work.
That's really kind of you.
What
Miriam,
are you
thank you
going to
so
do?
much.
What are you going to do with this?
So with your permission, now we'll give it to different museums and people will watch it and be inspired. And I think, Miriam, whoever sees this will be so touched. It will change their lives because it is so unbelievable.